It's your host, Lauren Gartland of the Cup of Lauren. And I'm so excited about today, and I hope you are too, because this is our weekly shot of inspiration. And I heard such an alarming statistic this week. I was listening into this thing about depression and anxiety, and it was a pastor who was teaching it, and he was sharing that right now 1 out of 20 individuals is going through severe depression. And I believe the statistic is even higher than that. So we are in a tough time. But what we know is that tough times never last, but tough people do. And so, champions, here's what a cup of Lauren is: it's to give you hope when you need it, it's to lift you up each and every time. It's to give you tools, to give you inspiration, to take you from wherever you are to where you ultimately want and that you deserve to be. So, we are going to be bringing to you so many different speakers that are literally going to breathe life into you. They are going to encourage you to go places you could never go on your own. So keep joining us, keep being with us, because we are here on a mission to change and to transform lives. And today, wow, are you in for a treat? So I want to tell you about this individual. First of all, he was the youngest person ever in 27 years. He is the youngest person ever to attend a champ camp. When he came to champ camp for his very first time, he was only 17 years old. That in itself is like amazing. And then a few weeks ago, we got this phone call. And my brother, who happens to work for Inspiring Champions, he called me up and he's like, "Oh my gosh, Lauren, we got this phone call. I called this young man, and you've got to hear this story. You've got to stop whatever you are doing, and you have to hear this story." So I pretty much did what Steve said, and I reached out to this individual, and I want you to know it is hands down one of the most inspiring stories I've heard in a very, very long time. And I know that it's going to touch your heart. It's going to touch your soul. It's going to breathe life into you, and it is going to make a difference wherever you are in your life. If you're on top right now, it's going to take you higher. If you feel like you are in the pits and don't know how to climb out, it's going to definitely help you. And so
Absolutely.
I want to introduce you to one extraordinary winner, champion, high achiever. I want all of you to meet Andy Lars. So, Andy, thank you for joining us today, champion.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your this platform that you've created to help so many people is tremendous. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's going to all be because of extraordinary individuals who are open and ready to share their journey. So that's what we're going to talk about today, Andy. We're going to talk about your journey. So why don't you tell us about, the beginnings, and then build up to how you got to the cosmetology industry and to your first champion, and then I know you're just going to take it from there.
Absolutely. So I'll start off. My name's Andy Lattis, and I've had amazing opportunities in the beauty industry that have really shaped me to be who I am today. And when I first got my start, I was about 16 years old, and I had just dropped out of high school repeating freshman year. And I went to college for about a month after I received my GED, my continuing education degree. And I was in a bit of a rut because I didn't know what my next step was going to be.
Mhm.
And I was told by my mother, who has a PhD in teacher leadership,
Mm.
that I could do whatever I wanted with my GED. I could do art or music or whatever my passion was, that I should just go full on and pursue it. And she used to teach GED classes. So she was definitely an advocate for me to just skip high school, get my GED,
Mm.
and start my life. So having her encouraged me is what really got me to where I am today, as well as many of the other experiences that I've had too.
So you had
So
a terrific mentor, it sounds like.
absolutely. And a
Wow.
couple of the things that I battled, I know life is full of obstacles and we all have our own obstacles, but one thing we have to remember is that there are solutions, there are options available to us, that if we take the right ones, we can conquer those problems instantly, immediately. So, a couple of the hurdles I had to deal with were mental health and sexual abuse. Those were the two biggest ones that hindered me and for the longest time. And I had a choice to make. Do I let those things keep me down and live in a mental hospital for the rest of my life?
Mm,
Or should I be strong and overcome it and find what really fills my
mm,
soul, what really makes me happy? And I chose to do that. I went to cosmetology school, and 2 weeks into cosmetology school, they told me, "Hey, we're having this hair show in Corpus Christi, and all the students get a discount." And I just thought to myself, what better way to introduce myself to growth in an industry that I'm not even aware of, that I have never even touched hair. I just know that having an artist background, blowing glass, welding, painting, drawing, sculpting clay, singing, playing drums, I knew that wherever I was going to go within the beauty industry, that I would automatically fit. And so I attended the hair show and I met Joe Santee, the co-creator of Olaplex. And after Joe spoke about the structure of hair and taught me a lot about the chemistry of hair, he's very intellectual when it comes to the chemistry portion. That's where he got he was able to solve the problem with Olaplex with the molecule, and that's how we have Olaplex today.
mm.
It's a bond multiplier that keeps the structure of the bonds intact when the hair is being processed. And so Joe introduced me to Oscar Valencia, my late great friend Oscar Valencia. Tremendously is incredible. If it wasn't for Oscar Valencia, I would not be where I am today. Oscar and Lauren, I would not be where I am today. So Oscar, he
He
um,
was
he
he was
was
the trainer we had sent to that show, and I believe you attended his class then.
yes, I did. And Joe encouraged me. He said, "You want to stick around for this? Oscar's got some amazing things to teach." And so Oscar was teaching everybody about how to make six figures within behind the chair in the salon business. And the room was packed front to back, side to side. And I tell you, people were standing, people were sitting on the floor. It was just so packed. And Oscar announced at the end of the speech that he was uh, going to be offering 10 people, the first 10 people to sign up within days 1 and 2 of the hair show, a deal. And it was the first deal that had been constructed in 14 years of Inspiring Champions history. And it was $9.99 for those days, instead of I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 3,000.
1749.
1749. And then I immediately thought, I need to be a part of this right now. And so when he got done speaking and he gave everybody the opportunity to go up and put their name on that paper, I thought I was going to have to fight people and push people out of the way, because I wanted to know more. And I knew that learning that part of the salon business was going to enhance my experience and my opportunities in life in any business venture that I would take off in, and or pursue, I should say. And I wanted that. I wanted that more than anything. And I put my name on there. And so being raised by a single mother and not having the financial stability and the resources to get me to where I need to be for this trip was definitely an obstacle that I decided not to let the fear or worry get me down. And often fear
Well,
and
there's a
worry
gem
and
right there, everybody. Write that one down. We're either more committed to our fears that hold us back, or we're more committed to our dreams that will move us forward. So, bravo on that
exactly.
decision. So, I know you're going to move now into how that single decision changed the course of your destiny.
Exactly. So conquering fear and worry and understanding where it comes from, I realized that my fear came from the unknown. My worry and my anxiety is all about the unknown. So instead of worrying about what the end goal is going to be, I decided to embark on the journey because the journey is going to be longer than the celebration at the top.
Right.
So, not even knowing if I was going to be a salon owner or if I was going to continue to do hair, I took a step of faith and I said, I'm going to step out in faith and this is the opportunity for me. So, I found the means to fly out to Boston, and the flight was over $400. The hotel was over $800, and the show was going to be over 999. So I
Mm.
landed, and the first thing that happened when I landed was I saw Oscar. And mind you, this is the second time I have met Oscar in person. And he came up to me and he asked me, "Do you have any money for food?" And I was a bit confused by that. I said, "What do you mean food? Like to feed me?" And he said, "Yeah, do you have money to take care of yourself while you're here?" And I said, "No, I don't. I barely had enough for everything else." And so he reached into his wallet and he gave me $100 bill. And I felt so moved by that. Like, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know who I am, but that's the type of person Oscar was. He would
Yeah.
give you the shirt off his back, and he saw the young man that I was in that time, that I was willing to go forth and make changes in my life to be able to get to that point to fly out. So he decided to invest in me, to take care of me. And that was, I couldn't thank him enough. At that point, we went right back into the um, the conference room, and Lauren got on stage and said, "Hey, we have a very special guest with us today." And my ears perked up because I thought, special guest. I'm here in my suit and tie, my hair is done nicely, and I'm sitting up, and I just want to respect to this person that I have no idea is about to step on stage, and I'm excited to hear about this person. So Lauren starts introducing this young man, and he's talented, and he's strong, and he's got all these things going for him. But I just want to talk to this guy because this young man sounds like he has all the answers to my problems. So I encourage you also to write this down too. Have your friend or a family member, or even yourself if you'd like to, just write down on a piece of paper all of your best qualities, all the things you've currently achieved. And if you feel like you haven't achieved enough, write down what your best qualities as a person are. Are you respectful? Are you loving? Are you kind? Are you considerate? And now picture somebody else reading those things about you, and you're just mind blown by how amazing of a person you are. Sometimes it really takes that, just stepping back and noticing, like, whoa, maybe there is more to me. Maybe I have done a lot in my life. Give yourself credit. Pat yourself on the back. There's nothing wrong with that. Confidence is key. And so I go on stage, unbeknownst to me, it's me. Lauren calls me on stage. And I'm thinking, is there another Andy around here? It was me, and I'm pointing at me, and Lauren's like, "Yeah, come up." And so I get on stage, very confused. Nobody gave me any heads up on what was about to happen. And Lauren said, and I'll never forget what Lauren said. She said, "We have this young gentleman. He is working on his career. He is invested in himself. And I believe that we need to come together as a community and uplift him and invest in him, in his future too." And I was I was still confused. I still didn't know what was happening. I was like, "Invest? What's happening?" And then Lauren asked everybody to come together and donate. And she set up a big, gigantic red box in the back of the room for everyone to donate to me. And Lauren said, "I will be paying for his hotel stay as well." And I just started crying. I cried so much to know that I mean, it's going to choke me up now to know that everything that I've been through, and to make the choice to be strong and to not succumb to a mental health hospital, to not live my life from the things that have happened to me, to not let those things define me, was so difficult for me. And it all paid off to be standing there on stage, to be recognized for my hard work and my efforts. And unbeknownst to Lauren and Oscar, they have no idea what I've been through. And they were still willing to help me. That was incredible. So thank you so much for that, Lauren, for giving me that
Wow. I
opportunity.
mean, when you share that with me, I just get so moved. And we're here to help each other. And that's what's so awesome about this industry is people have hearts bigger than the state of Texas. And they would do anything to help a friend or a colleague or certainly their
Mhm.
clients, but often they don't put the oxygen mask on them and help them. And we wanted to do that. So I want you to share. Oh, the next part was
Oh,
so
yes.
cool. How you took the red box that was full
Mhm.
of money and
Mhm.
what happened next?
So I received an envelope with all the cash, and I had no idea what the exact figure was yet because I hadn't counted it. I went straight up to my room, I opened the envelope, and I poured all the money out on the mattress, on the hotel mattress, and just looking at all of these hundreds, super overwhelmed. And I feel like something inside me is being called to give some of this somewhere. Because I felt like all this money didn't belong to me. And I knew, like I said, having come from owning the same pair of shoes for almost 3 years and less than 10 changes of clothes, sleeping on the floor, my mom barely being able to feed me, like I said, being a single mother, I knew that there was a lot of things I could use all of that money for. But instead, I put aside what I figured I would need. I said 100 for this, 100 for that. Need this. I'm going to give some of this to my mom. And I had $200 left. And I knew I felt called. I felt moved. In that moment, I was still and I listened. If you listen when you're called and that opportunity is knocking for you to give or to bless someone in return after you have been blessed, you have to answer the door and do it immediately. It will serve you right. It will continue to bless you. Now that that seed has been planted, I grew and I was able to help somebody else grow. So I went back to Oscar because I heard Oscar say something about paying it forward, but I thought he said paying him back. So I was confused. So I went right up to Oscar. I said, "Hey, Oscar, here's $200. You gave me $100 when I first got here." And Oscar said, "No." He said, I said, "I know." He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "I know one day you're going to pay it forward. I didn't say you were going to pay me back." And I was 17 at the time. And even being 17, there are some people who don't know, even in older ages than I was, who still haven't learned the importance of paying it forward. And Oscar said, paying it forward is we helped you. Now it's your turn to help somebody else in need.
Mm.
And so I was roaming around the hotel and I saw there was a woman who had her face in her hands and was crying, and there was three other women surrounding her. And immediately I knew that's where it was supposed to go. And I went over to one of the ladies and I said, "Hey, excuse me, um, what's going on?" And she said, this woman has she drove from New Jersey to Boston. Her vehicle broke down halfway to Boston and she couldn't afford her hotel stay. Her her salon was filing for bankruptcy and she couldn't afford her son's diabetes medication anymore. I knew exactly where that money was supposed to go. And so I asked if I could have a word with her, and she said yes. And we stepped outside, and I said, "I heard a little bit about your situation, and I would love to help you." And so I put $200 on cash on the table and moved it over to her, and she said, "I can't touch that. I can't take that." So why not? I asked, "Why not?" I mean, you need the help too, don't you? And she said, "Yes, but while you were on stage, I envied you." And I understood that that wasn't a positive reaction to somebody else who's in need getting help. And I asked for forgiveness, she said. And in that moment, God spoke to me and told me to give you my last dollar. And I put my last dollar. I had $1. I put it in your big red box, and that was the last dollar I had. I just
Mm.
mind blown. And I said, you planted a seed. It grew. It multiplied. This is your money. Here, take it. You deserve it. This is your blessing. It's tremendous.
Oh my gosh, I just want to start bawling. Oh, Andy. So, how did what happened there? How did that impact your life?
So in that moment, I learned something, like I said, that sometimes most adults don't even learn, is that you have to be still, you have to listen to and move when you're called, and that blessings will come. And in the heat of adversity, when you're faced with this obstacle or this task, I actually have a word for it. I call it a chair situation. One time I attended a little story. I attended a meeting and people were scrambling around looking for chairs because the next meeting was about to start. We didn't have enough. And I said, let's just calm down. There's no need to freak out and worry about, where these chairs are. They are somewhere in here and we are going to find out. And sometimes that obstacle is just that simple. I went over to the front desk. I said, "Hey, we need some more chairs. There's some in that closet. Oh, the door's locked and everyone's freaking out again." I go back. "Do you know where the keys are?" Open the door and there's the chairs. So it's a chair situation. Sometimes we make obstacles bigger than what we think they are, and they're not that big. You got to step back and be still and tell yourself, I am capable. That hill is not as big as I thought it would be.
Absolutely. So you go to Champ Camp and you're going there thinking, I'm going to learn how to make 100 grand right out coming out of cosmetology school. I'm going to be
Yeah.
not only am I going to be fantastic technically, but I'm going to be the greatest business person in
Hmm.
the world. And you're here at Champ Camp, and this life changing moment happens that no one could have seen coming. And I
Exactly.
always look for opportunities to bless someone who needs it at every camp. And it doesn't happen at all of them because a person doesn't surface. But at this one, I'm so glad that it did. I'm so glad that you were the one. So now you leave Champ Camp, you go back. You were in San Antonio, Texas, I believe.
Correct. I'm from San
And
Antonio.
tell them about what happened when you got back.
So just like you said a second ago, I really expected, oh, I'm fresh out of champ camp. Where's my $100,000? So I knocked on salon to salon and said, hey, I'm here to work. I'm here to make my $100,000. I flew out to Boston to learn how to make six figures. I can do it. But the big mistake I made was I hadn't really honed in on my craft yet. So I couldn't demand those high prices that would have helped me work smarter and not harder. But I could have worked up to it, eventually, as the years came to pass. But one of the first salon doors that I knocked on was a woman who her father and her mother had passed away within the span of 6 years. And she pushed everybody away from her, meaning all her stylists, even got rid of a lot of clientele because she was so overwhelmed by that whole situation that she felt that she couldn't work anymore. And I knocked on her door wearing a suit and tie, and I said, "Hi, my name's Andy. I'm here to work." And she said, "I'm sorry, I don't have a position for you. Go away." And I said, "Excuse me." I said, "I'm Andy." I said, "I flew out to Boston to learn how to make six figures, and I can help your business grow immediately." And she said, "Well, come in for a little bit. Come talk for a second." And she's working on a client. She's doing this client's foils. She's got the bleach in her hair and in her hand and everything. And I'm telling her, "So this is my story. I flew out to Boston. I made a way for myself, and I know that I'm going to flourish in this industry, and I'm going to help you succeed with me." And she was
And
kind
you're
of shooing
17 at this time, correct?
17,
Yeah.
yes, turning 18. And so she was pushing me away still, and her client said, "Let's just listen to him for a little bit, shall we?" And so I told her more of my story, and she was blown away. So I end up taking this woman's business from 0 to 100. I taught her everything I learned at Champ Camp, starting from the consultation to upselling to retailing to really making time for your client and figuring out what their needs are, setting goals and expectations. Very important, because we have a goal, we all want to be somewhere, but we don't know how to get there. And knowing that some people don't understand how to get there because they're not hairdressers like us, they're not professionals like us, we have to educate them. We have to take the time to educate them, do what we call with Champ Camp the perfect consultation, meaning we touch on all of their needs, their hair density, how much hair per square inch they have on their head, their hair texture, what type of lifestyle do they lead, what kind of look do you want to have, and if you haven't pictured yourself with that style but you really want it, let's go for it. What's going to accentuate your face, what's going to complement you, what color is going to complement your skin tone. We really take all those things into consideration. And with the upsell and the retail, it follows that, it shows that those aren't selling points, they're helping points.
Yeah.
You are
Oh,
diagnosing a problem and you are offering a solution to upkeep and maintain the most beautiful look that you could come up with. And you have to take those steps just like you would say at your garden. You got to water your plants every day or they're going to die. You got to make sure they have the perfect soil. That's exactly what we're doing in that moment. We're telling our client, look, we're not going to take advantage of you. We're not here to steal your money. We're going to only give you what you need. And I loved that. And that's exactly what I implemented in that salon. And her clientele, who was afraid of deep conditioning treatments and other treatments that we offered, and buying shampoo and conditioner, thinking, what's the difference between this and that? And we educated them. We took the time and they felt important. And we couldn't keep anything on the shelves. I
and
flipped
so
that
here,
bit.
here you show up. I think you were her angel. In fact, I'm not. I don't think, I'm confident
Her
that
business is still
you
open.
you were somehow divinely guided to this salon, and then you got her to let you in to talk to her. She didn't want to, but the client actually said, "Hey, I think you need to hear what this young man has to say." Now she's looking into the eyes of a 17-year-old. How can you possibly help me? But you know what you had? You had confidence. You had an unstoppable spirit. And that's what every champion has. They're relentless. They fake it till they make it. They already see themselves at the top before anyone else does. And it was your attitude that got you into there. So you get in, and now her business, she was going bankrupt, you said. She was ready
Yeah.
to, throw in the towel.
Close the doors.
You helped her do what? What happened to her business?
It grew tremendously, and her sister is also the front desk, so she's not only having to pay herself, she's also paying her sister. And it was too much for them to have to struggle as much as they were.
Mm,
And they even live in there too. Legally in the state of Texas, you can't live on the bottom floor of where you work, but they had a top floor, so they were able to separate it from the house. And so they didn't have a lot. And when I saw all the changes that were being made, I knew that this business was going to continue to last for years to come. And all the other salons that I've worked in that I've tried to implement these tactics on, they were not quick to learn. And unfortunately, those salons no longer exist.
right.
So it really speaks volumes for what you've taught me with Inspiring Champions, Lauren, and the changes that I've made in myself to see that the proof is really in the pudding. It's right in front of us.
Mm. Andy, that just solidifies why I do what I do. I
Mhm.
knew this was what I was put here to do. There's never been a doubt in my mind. And you know what? I do this not to make a living, I do it to make a difference, because I know when I make a difference, when I truly touch and impact and transform lives, that the rest will be taken care of. I don't think about me first, I think about serving and taking care of others. And that's what you're doing. But I want you to, we don't have a lot of time left, but I want you to share. So tell me about your transition. You're working and COVID happened. And then what happened because of COVID?
In that moment, I realized that yes, I'm excellent at doing hair. I'm a good hair sculptor. I'm good at color. I'm good at business and marketing and taking pictures and doing everything that is required to be in that position, especially to be your own salon owner. I opened my own salon, and I was open for about 6 months in a suite. And I,
It was
I,
not a salon with other people working for you. You became a
no,
suite
a
owner.
suite,
Okay,
correct.
got it.
So that was
Is there a difference between working for someone as an employee versus being a suite owner or opening your own business?
drastically. Opening your own business means you have to do everything on your own. The lights, the the designs, the inventory, paying for $4,000 worth of hair color. Versus if you go to a salon and you booth rent, sometimes they'll say, oh, you can use our towels or you can use our color. We'll just, just take a little commission out of it. And so to have to do everything on my own, it was a lot, but I knew that I was capable of getting it done. So I buckled down. I made it work for 6 months successfully. But in that time, I realized that I could be the greatest asset to people by coaching them. And the idea for a book that I'm writing called The 6 Concrete Steps That Lead to Happiness instantly popped into my mind. I started writing down all these different things that were important to happiness and relationships and what day-to-day things that we go through in our lives. And I found out that we are no different from animals that exist in nature. They all live in an environment. They all exist within their environment. And we are no different from that. So what's part of our daily environment? It's going to be our work life, our personal life, and our home life. Those 3 things, those key things, are part of our environment that surrounds us. And we get to pick and choose what our environment looks like. So I noticed that and I start with work life because I want this to resonate with everybody, all ages, but more specifically, people 25 and younger as well, because they have lost touch with respecting authority.
Mhm.
Respecting authority in the workplace does not mean that you are conforming. It means that you are respecting yourself. If you can respect somebody else, it means that you have the self-respect to take care of you and to know what you should and shouldn't do, what's healthy for you and what
Mm.
would be healthy for others, thinking about others. And so the next thing is personal life. So if you show up to work at 4, you're supposed to be there at 4, or you're supposed to be there at 5, you're there on time when you're supposed to be. The same thing in your relationships. Like today, this call was scheduled at 1. I was on time. You have to. It shows that I respect Lauren, and Lauren respected me by showing up on time. And she looks wonderful. Her hair is beautiful. All that took time, I appreciate that, and she appreciates my time too. So that's very important in personal life. And then in home life, I like to give the example of if you were to spill milk on the floor, whether it be carpet or tile, doesn't matter, and leave it for a whole week, it's going to smell very bad. And so if you pick it up immediately, then it won't smell. And I take that back to personal life because when there's a problem within our personal relationships, instead of letting it linger and creating all this resentment and negativity that just drains our energy, we fix it immediately. And then we won't have that problem. And I'll show you how to fix that with the next 3 steps. And then it goes right back to work. Right at work. If you make a mistake at work and you're too scared to tell your boss and you sweep it under the rug, eventually it's going to come out and you'll probably get fired. So tell your boss, hey, I made a mistake and I'm willing to learn from it and grow and move forward. I want to make this better. And your boss will reward you for it over time.
Well, I do think you should leave some of your secrets, some of the tips of your book. We should leave a secret so that when it comes out, we can do an announcement and everyone can buy it because they're going to.
Absolutely. I'll leave one more tip though, because it's
Really?
very important. Open communication. Open communication is the biggest one. Sometimes the obstacles that we face that are right in front of us could be as easy as just asking for help and shifting your perspective. And so, because of people like you, Lauren, I've been able to become the man that I am today from having been a pre-teenager to now being an adult. It's changed my family. It's helped my family. And I look forward to releasing this book and definitely giving you an honorable mention.
Wow. Well, first of all, my gosh, when we first met, you were 17 years old, youngest ever for Champ Camp. Probably will hold that for a very, very long time. But then 7 years later, so I know you're now 25, correct?
Yes.
So here we are. He's 25 years old. It took all those years for him to circle back and to tell me about the impact, us meeting, and Oscar, who passed away a little over a year ago, and just it's devastating to all of us. But oh my gosh, Andy, so here's what you have really breathed life into. That one, don't let your scars, don't let them define who you are. Don't let the things that happen stay with you. You learned how to take your scars and you learned how to turn them into stars. You learned how
Absolutely.
to impact others. You then went and you learned how to pay it forward. Most 17-year-olds, most people their whole life will never learn that. They would have taken that money that you got and they would have just ran, and God knows what they would have spent it on. But you really thought about what to spend it on, and those words resonated into you. You never pay it back, you pay it forward. And you found someone at that course who was in your class to pay it forward to. There's a huge lesson there. We are here to always be paying it forward and to serve others. Then you leave there and you're like, okay, I'm going to find a salon. And you knock on a door and you showed what it is to be an unstoppable champion, what it looks like to be relentless. Because you know what? I always tell people, never be afraid of no's. A no today can become a yes tomorrow. And when someone says no to you, look at them and go, thank you for the no. And people go, what? Why would I say that? Because every no brings you one step closer to a yes. So when you get a no, celebrate it because it means you're one step closer to your yes. Never give up, and you never have. And then you shared about how you went on to pay it forward even more, and you took that knowledge and you helped another person not go out of business, not have to go bankrupt. And my gosh, you are everything the word champion stands for. And
I could sit here for weeks and tell you so many stories I've had, so many amazing opportunities I've had just because I've been living my life based off of that one experience at Champ Camp. To be able to say yes to people. I mean, I'll give a small example. One time I was doing rideshare, and a woman asked me if I wanted to go to church with her. I might not have the same beliefs as her, but I said, absolutely. Why would I pass up on that beautiful opportunity to share that experience with another person? You don't have to say no all the time just because things don't align with you. And so that shaped me to be who I am. I've learned so much about people. I love people and I want to continue to help people. And that's what my book is going to do.
oh my gosh. Well, just talking to people like you, God's hand is all over Champ Camp. When he came to me and said, Lauren, I want you to leave everything you're doing and you're going to start a company called Inspiring Champions and you're going to globally transform lives, I immediately thought, has the cheese slid off the cracker? You cannot be talking to me. And, I've learned that God picks ordinary people to do very extraordinary things. And he's certainly moving through your life. But when I started, Champ Camp is our signature program. Even though we have many other things we offer, that's where lives are changed. It's not only business, it's also life. And if you don't manage both of those, if one is out, the other is going to be out. And we wanted to create this amazing balance. And so when you reached out 7 years later to share the impact we had on your life, I cried that whole day. And it's because of people like you that I can't quit. I can't give up. That as hard as it gets, on the days where you just want to pull the covers over your head and say, I can't do this, I can't keep going, that all of a sudden someone like you will come along and breathe life into us. And so I want to thank you because I know that your story today, I know has breathed life into someone who needed to hear this, that if you could overcome all that you have, being told you'd always be on medication, that you'd be in a mental hospital. And now, how many years have you been set free from any medication?
Over 13, 14 at this point.
So you didn't let
Counting.
somebody else's opinion become your reality. You have created your reality.
I figured out what I was diagnosed with. I wrote all the diagnoses down and I said, you know what? depression, all of us experience some form of sadness, and I'm going to conquer it. That's exactly what I did.
Amen. And you know what? It's a daily fight. But
It
you know
is.
what? You got to
It's a
fight
choice.
for your life. You got to fight not for the life you have, but you got to fight for the life you want and that it is your God given right to have. And
Yes.
everybody has to know that. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for not just going through life and sharing what happened for you because so many people, thousands, we have thousands and thousands of graduates of Champ Camp, but when they leave, if they don't if they don't reach out to us, I never know what happened. And you don't have any idea the impact you had on my life by reaching out and sharing with me the difference Oscar and Inspiring Champions has made for you. Nothing could make me happier. Nothing could feel
Tremendous.
more. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Everybody come to Champ Camp. It's where lives are changed.
Yes,
Andy,
absolutely.
we got to get you to Champ Camp and up on that stage, but you'll be telling a whole different story. And so,
Absolutely, I will.
you're in the San Antonio area. By the way, I hear you're having a hard time finding the ideal salon there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I definitely struggled to find professionalism in San Antonio.
Well, I know the right one is out there and they're looking for you just like you're looking for them. And if anybody knows of the ideal salon in San Antonio, please reach out to us at support@inspiringchampions.com so we can connect them because it's not how you start your race, it's how you finish. And you're
Absolutely.
going to be here long after me, Andy. But what I want you to know, your best success story is yet to be written. You are only 25 years old, but you have the wisdom, you have the heart, you have the mindset, not only of a champion, but of someone who is in their 50s and 60s. You are so far ahead of yourself. I'm sure people listening to you are going, okay, this cannot be a 25-year-old. I know the 25. I have 25-year-olds working, and I wish they were even remotely, close to this. So kudos to you for
Thank you.
always making education a priority, for making learning and growing and becoming the very best you can a top priority in your life.
Thank you
You're
so
going
much,
to change,
Lauren.
you're going to go on to change thousands and thousands of lives. And I would love for you to become a part of the Inspiring Champions team. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh, I would love to. That
You
would be
got
a
to be a part of
dream.
the team.
That would be a dream come true. I know that I would recognize every single person that came into that conference room and say the fact that they are even just standing in front of us is a blessing in itself. And that the fact that they have stepped out and they're willing to make a change and they're right here, right now, shows that they are more than capable of getting their goals reaching their goals.
Amen to that. That's it.
That's all it
Wow,
takes.
that's like
That first step.
this is like drop the mic moment. You crushed it today. You just came with your heart open to share. You were so authentic and raw and genuine, and that you weren't attached to what people thought about anything. Thank you. Thank you for being a winner and a champion and join us today. And thank you
Thank you.
everyone for joining us or for listening to this recording. We love you. We are here to support you, to encourage you, to inspire you,
Absolutely.
and to take you places that none of us can go on our own. It takes a team of committed individuals, and we are here for you. So I look forward to talking to you real soon, Andy. And thank you to my team for making this happen today. Mwah. Love you, everybody. Bye.